against Bitcoin.
It's going up forever.
You're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom.
November, the speed at which Bitcoin will be adopted globally will accelerate by a decade. And if we can get two nations in the world to be competing over Bitcoin and over Bitcoin dominance, it will induce every nation on the planet to compete in the Bitcoin space race. And so if you want to see the price of Bitcoin sent to the literal moon,
what are we talking about here? You're teasing again, David. What are we talking about here when you say moon?
I'm saying if you want to see Bitcoin sent to the moon, what we need to do is have nation states.
Is that $500,000, 100,000, 200,000?
$1 million plus.
Okay, there we go.
$1 million plus Bitcoin prices. We need nation states competing over Bitcoin. And you can't have competition if you only have one person doing it. So if we can accelerate what's happening here, we can accelerate hyper Bitcoinization dramatically. And I think everybody.
Yeah, welcome to the Bitcoin Live, the number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution, cover breaking news, culture, magic warfare. We will be your guide through the separation of money. Say, ladies and gentlemen, sit back, relax, enjoy the ride. Welcome to the most watched daily Bitcoin only live show on YouTube, Rumble, and X. You just heard a clip in the cold opening from David Bailey. David Bailey is the CEO of BTC Inc., the owners of the Bitcoin Conference and Bitcoin Magazine. He just came on Simply Bitcoin IRL yesterday. Highly suggest you guys watch that entire episode. It was incredibly bullish, but David was essentially talking about something that Max has been talking about, and we're going to play you guys a clip of Keiser. He went on this pretty popular show this last week or so, but essentially it's the global hash wars, like Keiser likes to talk about it. We want nation states competing for Bitcoin. We want nation states competing for Bitcoin miners. We want nation states competing for Bitcoin businesses, because when nation states compete, when jurisdictions compete, you as the individual win, because you get to decide where is more favorable for you to set up shop. So it's incredibly bullish. I do agree with David in the sense that this year, this election year is quite interesting, right? You have RFK and Trump on one side, and then you have the Biden-Harris administration on the other side. And unfortunately, I think the last, year or so have shown that Operation Choke 0.0, the proposed Bitcoin mining ban, of course, Trump and RFK offering that they're going to free Ross. It's become this situation where, the 2024 election is an election that will have consequences for the Bitcoin industry in the United States. And that's essentially what David Bailey was saying. And part of the reason that they brought Trump and RFK to the Bitcoin conference. Now, a little known fact, which is why I recommend watching the entire episode yesterday, David Bailey revealed that the reason that the Trump speech was delayed was because there was supposed to be a fireside chat after the Trump speech between Elon and Trump at the Bitcoin conference. That didn't happen, but you know what did happen? It happened yesterday. Absolutely broke the internet. Some of the figures are saying that we had essentially over 1 billion views. I was having trouble getting into the spaces. Apparently there was a DDoS attack, right? They were just flooding the system. They didn't want people to tune in. But the spaces still happened. It was 3 hours long. And again, we're not a political show. We're not going to focus on the rhetoric. That's not what you guys tune into Simply Bitcoin about. The part that we are going to focus on, though, is they talked about inflation. One of the things that I've always told you guys on the show is we want people to ask a very simple question, and we're getting very close. And that simple question is, why am I being forced via legal tender laws to use a money that loses purchasing power? Question number one. And question number two is, why should money have to lose purchasing power in order to function, right? Those are the two questions. The reason those two questions are so important is that they're somewhat simple questions. And once people embrace that, because inflation right now, the way that it's talked about like as if it's like Mother Nature. It's a fact of life. That's just the way things are. But that's not the way things are. And one of the things that Elon said and Trump were talking about was to get government spending under control because that's what's going to control inflation. That's true. But Bitcoiners are a step ahead. Why are we a step ahead? Because it's not just about identifying the problem and a short-term fix. Because let's say Trump or RFK or whatever wins the election and they cut down government spending. There could be another election, there could be another government, and they could spend a lot more money. The solution to this is saving and earning in a money of which the government can't debase in order to pay for their own expenses. That inevitably becomes a forcing function over time. It's like a check on government spending, but not from a like I'm going to vote type of thing. It's I'm going to vote with my wallet and I'm going to save and earn in Bitcoin type of vote. And that I believe is the most effective vote you can make. And believe me when I tell you guys this, we are very close to that even being mentioned. We are on the cusp of that being mentioned. And once that's out of the bag, you can't put that back in the bag. And there really isn't a good excuse in regards to government spending. Because the fact is that it hurts everybody tremendously, specifically the lower and middle classes that don't have the means to save in assets. Therefore, they save and earn in fiat and they get destroyed by the ravages of inflation. Bitcoin is for you. Bitcoin will save your purchasing power. Bitcoin is the solution to inflation. That's just my humble opinion. Maybe I'm totally wrong here, but maybe I've just spent way too much time in Bitcoin. But I think we're very, very close. And I want to bring up my co-host, Ms. Fields, and our guest for today, Raj. Raj is with the Speed Wallet. Well, gentlemen, I'm sure maybe you didn't tune in. Perhaps you didn't tune in to the interview yesterday. But Raj, what was your take on that, man? And specifically, not all the other political rhetoric and stuff, but as it relates to inflation being brought up in the discussion. I think you're muted, Raj.
Yeah, I think it was an interesting discussion throughout. They spoke all about the fiscal deficit and everything and didn't mention Bitcoin. That is not what I expected. I think they should have. I mean, it's the most obvious solution, like, to hold, overspending and everything, because we may have another 4 years of Trump, and let's say we have an efficiency commission, and we cut down on the regulation, bring the spending down, but we'll have another government would come, and then we'll have the same overspending and everything. So if you want to really solve this for long term, we just have the Bitcoin in and go from there. And you said inflation is a curse, but I would say deflation is awesome. Like, we need to make that as a narrative. Price dropping, deflation is really good. Like it's good for consumer. It's good for everyone. Yeah, it may be tough for businesses, but I think they will adapt to that.
100%. It's good for everyone, and people believe in that. Like I've heard people talk about it. It's like deflation is so dangerous. It's like, you mean my purchasing power going up is dangerous? Like, that's crazy. That's crazy that they even frame it that way,
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to set the narrative where we say that deflation is awesome. It's good. I mean, just make that as a position, and I think there is no need to kind of focus a lot on maybe like inflation and changing that narrative. We just set our own story.
Yeah.
Inflation, yeah. I think
100%.
I think you had Jeff Booth on the show, right? I think
yeah.
And yeah, I think he's written a pretty good book on deflation and everything. It was eye-opener for me.
Yeah, he now, in the way that he talks about it is just, he obviously has nailed this down to a science, so yeah. Jeff knows what he's talking about. Anyways, guys, there's about 590 of you guys watching live between YouTube, Rumble, and X. If you guys are enjoying the show so far, make sure to smash that like button. Opti, what are we going to talk about during the culture?
Well, we got Raj here from Speed Wallet. So we're going to talk about, Bitcoin, scaling, Lightning, and of course, the project they're working on over there at Speed Wallet, which is, I don't want to call it a relatively new Lightning wallet, but it really just kind of hit the scene on my radar in the last couple of weeks. So we're going to talk about all things Lightning today and how Raj and the Speed Wallet team is working to improve the Lightning experience for every single one of us.
100%. I'm really excited about it. Yeah, you guys kind of came out of nowhere, and you guys hit the ground running really, really fast. So really excited. I love Bitcoin entrepreneurs. I love Bitcoin businesses. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what you guys are talking about. Guys, stay tuned. We have a hell of a show for you guys today. But before we get to it, I do want to give a very special shout out to our lead sponsor. Of course, I'm talking about Bitcoin Well. Bitcoin Well is the best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack. To get started, all you got to do is you put in your email address. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes to sign up. Enable your independence with the fastest and safest way to buy Bitcoin in Canada and the USA. By the way, every time you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, you earn Bitcoin Well points, and you can redeem those points towards the Bitcoin Wishing Well. It's a little contest for an opportunity for you to win up to 1 million Satoshi. So we're going to do that for you guys live right now. Toss a coin into the Bitcoin Wishing Well, and first person to scan the QR code on your screen wins 500 sats. If you use promo code simplybtc, you get 3 tosses into the Bitcoin Wishing Well absolutely free. Guys, support self-custody Bitcoin on-ramps like bitcoinwell.com. Head over there today. All right, everybody, let's hit the numbers. Lots to talk about.
The Bitcoin numbers.
All right, everybody, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Stamp Seed. It's a titanium seed phrase storage kit. It's proof of work seed phrase storage. That's right. It's a hammer. It comes with a plate. It comes with letter stamping tools, and you literally hammer in your seed into a titanium seed plate. This is 100 million times better. I don't even know if that's the right number, but I'm going to say it anyways. Than writing down your generational wealth on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage. Your dog could eat it. Do you think your dog could eat a slate of titanium? No, he's going to break his teeth. That's right. You want to store your generational wealth properly. And if you use promo code SIMPLY, you get 15% off anything on the Stamp Seed store. So guys, make sure you keep your relationship good with your grandchildren. Store your generational wealth properly. Head over to stampseed.com today. Promo code SIMPLY, 15% off. All right, everybody. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is $60,520. Sats per dollar, 1,652. Block height, 856,621. Blocks to halving, 193,379. Halving estimate, March 26, 2028. Total Lightning Network capacity, 4,852 BTC. Capacity value, 293 million US dollars. Realized monetary inflation, 1.45%. Market capitalization, 1.2 trillion. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 7.05%. In the grand scheme of things, we are just getting started. Anyways, as it relates to yesterday's spaces between Elon and Trump, I do want to preface this with a small quote from the Bitcoin president himself, Nayib Bukele. And this article has always stuck with me. And in this regard, he's referencing the people that were against the Bitcoin law in El Salvador. So, and he makes a really good point, and it explains a lot of the reasons as to why a lot of people were against the spaces that were happening yesterday. So I'm just going to read a little bit of this. He goes on to say, the most vocal detractors, the ones who are afraid and pressuring us to reverse our decision, are the world's most powerful elites and the people who work for or benefit from them. And I'm going to go back to go to the bottom. And they're willing to fight, lie, smear, destroy, censor, confiscate, print, and do whatever it takes to maintain and increase their control over the truth and everything and everyone. And again, This isn't simply Bitcoin saying this. This is the president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, writing an article for Bitcoin Magazine. All right. That being said, what was really interesting also is that the European Union actually sent a letter to Elon Musk basically telling him that he shouldn't do the spaces, which is it's very interesting, right? Like European bureaucrats are sending letters to the owner of Twitter, but most importantly, a presidential candidate saying that they can't have that conversation. That's really interesting. Now take a look at the legacy media's response to the interview. I'm going to just read some of these headlines. Start from the top left. USA Today says Trump rambles, slurs his way through Elon Musk interview. It was an unmitigated disaster. Fox News says Kamala Harris campaign criticizes Trump for self-serving, self-obsessed rich guys after interview with Elon Musk. Newsweek says Donald Trump's lisp during Elon Musk interview raises questions. The Guardian says, so Donald chatted with Elon, and here's the future as they see it. Losers win, incompetence rules. The New York Times says Musk Trump talk on X after glitchy start, a 2-hour ramble. The Guardian again says the Musk Trump X interview, a surprisingly dull meeting of two planet-sized egos. Wired says Donald Trump and Elon Musk's X conversation took forever to start, then never ended. The Independent says Trump repeats same old talking points in Musk interview, but lisp steals the show. The Verge says the Elon/Trump interview on X started with an immediate tech disaster. The Hollywood Reporter says Elon Musk got EU disinformation warning before rambling Donald Trump interview on X. Reuters said rambling Trump Musk interview marred by tech issues. CNN fact check, Trump made at least 20 false claims in his conversation with Elon Musk. So you guys get the point. The media wasn't exactly a fan of the conversation that happened yesterday. And also check this out. Here is a legacy media reporter actually asking the White House if they were going to censor the conversation. Check it out.
Elon Musk is slated to interview Donald Trump tonight on X. I don't know if the president is going to tune in. Feel free to say if he is or not. But I think that misinformation on Twitter is not just a campaign issue. It's a America issue. What role does the White House or the president have in sort of stopping that, or stopping the spread of that, or sort of intervening in that? Some of that was about campaign misinformation, but it's a wider thing, right?
Yeah, no, and you've heard us talk about this many times from here about the responsibilities that social media platforms have when it comes to misinformation, disinformation. Don't have anything to read out from here about specific ways that we're working on it, but we believe that they have the responsibility. These are private companies, so we're also mindful of that too. But look, it is. I think it is incredibly important to call that out as you're doing. I just don't have any specifics on what we have been doing internally.
So let me just kind of break this down for a sec, right? I read you the bit by Nayib Bukele, right? The most important tool is their control over the truth. I read you this letter by the EU, sending it to Elon, basically saying you can't have this. You have the legacy media going on a full-on assault on this interview. And then you have here a legacy media journalist asking, the White House press secretary, what are you going to do to censor this? Now, here's the thing. Trump is a divisive figure for a lot of people. I could say that, that can be true. But what could also be true is, why are they so afraid of people listening and making their own decisions? Why do they get to be arbiters of the truth? I mean, I think Bukele laid it out perfectly, right? That, to me, regardless of your political views, is a terrifying world to be in, where a bureaucratic elite, a journalistic elite, get to decide what you can and what you can't listen to. That's very scary. That's a very scary world. And the reason that we talk about this is, you guys know how we stand on the show. It's not left versus right. It's not liberal versus conservative. It's the party of green, the party of fiat, central bank digital currencies, nihilism, poverty, versus the party of orange, the party of Bitcoin, opportunity, peace, and prosperity. That's the way that we see this. This is the party of green. This is the party of basically saying, you like, don't even bother listening to it. We'll tell you it's horrible, it's terrible. Like, you might agree with that. Like, I listened to that interview. There's a part that I do agree that, you know, Trump, there's some parts where I'm like, I don't agree, or, you know, maybe he was long-winded many times, you could say. But at least I heard it, and now I'm making a decision about what I heard by myself. Right. And I would much rather live in that world where individuals are making decisions over their lives. It's not journalists, and it's not the government, especially the government, getting to dictate what is true and what is not true. That's a very scary world to live in. And the last thing that I want to focus on, and the reason that I'm bringing this up today, is because they brought up inflation. And remember, inflation is a really kind of like hot button issue to some government politicians and to some people. The way that they see inflation is they blame everything and anything on inflation but government spending. So the fact that this was brought up was very important, and you want to kind of know a reason as to why they're getting so many attacks, other than a lot of the other political talking points that we're not going to bring up on Simply. I bet you that a lot of it has to relate with the fact of saying this quiet part out loud. Right, which is, I'm going to quote it here. Actually, I think I have the actual audio clips, about 1 minute and 14 seconds. So I'll play it for you guys.
You know, as you're saying, like a lot of people are concerned about the economy. A lot of people are concerned about inflation, and inflation is effectively a tax on people that save money, and for people that are working day to day. It's just a form of taxation. And if we can solve the government spending problem, we'll solve the inflation problem, which means people will have a better standard of living, and that's a really big deal.
Well, the people that got hurt worst are the people that did it the way they were taught to do it all through, you know, their younger life and their young life and their whole life. The people that saved money, and then they got no interest on their money, and inflation destroyed them. And frankly, they were almost better off if they didn't do anything like that. I mean, those people have been absolutely decimated, and we're going to bring those people back and help those people. We've got to get the prices down. You know, when I look at bacon costing 4 or 5 times more than it did a few years ago, when you look at some of the food products in grocery stores, people go, they can't believe it. They used to be able to buy a whole cart, and today, you know, a lot of people just don't have the money. They go in and they can't buy anything.
Okay. So it kind of, you know, goes into the political rhetoric and whatever. And it's like Trump good, you know, other party bad. But the point is that it's being talked about. Inflation is a problem. Now, here's where I think Bitcoiners are ahead and where we have a responsibility. And here's some original thought I had from last night. I said the problem is trusting that government won't overspend. Bitcoin fixes this because it requires no trust. Bitcoin is the solution to inflation. This is something that Raj was saying in the beginning of the show. Like, let's say we get Trump into office, whoop-de-doo, right? There could be another administration. You know what they're going to do? Overspend. The solution isn't fixed. It's kind of like a Band-Aid, right? But again, it moves the Overton window and it brings that discourse into the mainstream. Now there's a whole lot of people that are now opening their eyes and they're asking questions about inflation. They're asking questions about, like, yeah, things are getting more expensive. That road is a one-way road, and at the very end, it leads to Bitcoin, right? So our job as Bitcoiners is to accelerate that. Don't get lost in the sauce with the whole left and right, Democrat, Republican debate, because that's a hot pile of garbage, but focus on providing the solution. And the solution is Bitcoin, and it helps everyone, right? It doesn't matter where you stand on the political aisle. Bitcoin is for you, and Bitcoin will make your life better. I love the way that Raj posted it. Let's make deflation popular. Let's bring back deflation. Let's make deflation the thing that people talk about, because I think people are brainwashed in a way. Like even Elon, Elon is so intelligent. The guy lands rockets, you know, builds self-driving cars. His products are great. I mean, depends on who you ask. I personally love his products. But you know, even Elon's talking about, like, oh, this inflation thing, get it under control. It's like they can't get it under control. That's the whole point. They don't have, if the government has the ability to press the P button, right, to fund whatever they would like, they're going to press that button. That's something that Satoshi innately knew. He even wrote about it in the forums, right? The only way to fix this is the separation of money and state. The only way to fix this is by opting out and saving and earning in a money that can't be debased regardless of who's in office and who's in power. But in terms of moving the Overton window, it was moved tremendously. I'm more pro free speech. There should be more open discussion. There shouldn't be less of it. And it does alarm me a little bit that there was so much pushback for this discussion. It kind of reminds me of the time of when Tucker wanted to talk to Putin, and they did so many things in order to stop that interview. And I was just thinking about it, like, okay, maybe Putin's a bad guy. He's a president of Russia. You could say that he's an authoritarian. You could say all of those things. But like, how's a conversation going to hurt anybody? Right? Like, that's the question that I have. Anyways, Raj, what are your thoughts on this? It sounds like you heard the interview yesterday. But I really just want to focus on the inflation bit, because that's really what's going to fix things, is moving to a Bitcoin standard.
Yeah, definitely. So I think Elon says that government overspending or not overspending will solve for the inflation. I don't think so. It's one of the contributing factors, but if you look at the M2 money supply, it's function of not only government deficits, but also like central banks setting the cost of the money, sometimes too loose, sometimes too tight. We go from booms and busts, and we have stimulus, we have bailouts. All this leads to excessive like money printing, and it is kind of all combined is kind of a root cause of inflation. So he didn't bring that up. I don't know why. But I think central bank just setting kind of, cost of the money, like just old people getting together in a room and just having a feel for economy, some collecting some data, which is usually like stale and kind of disconnected, skewed in several ways to set the cost of the money is what's the root cause here. And with the Bitcoin, we have predictability, right? We know what would be. I mean, the market would decide the cost of the money. The economic monetary policy is transparent, and yeah, I think Bitcoin is a proper solution. Like, it's as you said, Nico, on your tweet, right? No trust required. Implement Bitcoin, and that's about it. Yeah.
100%. Opti, what's your take on this, brother? I mean, we were talking about it when the space was happening. According to the latest figures, right, 1 billion people apparently have listened to it, have viewed it. So this got a tremendous amount of reach, and I think the legacy media attacking it, if anything, it backfired. And again, I can't double this. Look, I get Trump's divisive. You might not like him, but I don't think I think we're heading to dangerous territory where people just say you can't listen to someone what they have to say in their perspective. I think I don't want to kind of live in that world. I kind of want the individuals to get to decide what they want to listen to, what they don't want to listen to. I don't think that should be in the hands of government. Opti, what's your take?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, we've talked about this constantly on the show, but I think the biggest signal from yesterday was the fact that there was a DDoS attack on this conversation happening in the first place. Like, if you listen to the speech, I don't really think that there was anything that was really too crazy upon the speech. And you could say it was rambling and, maybe a little stale, because it was just like the same talking points we've heard from Trump if you've listened to anything he said in the last year or so. So it wasn't anything new that we heard in here. But the fact that they didn't want to have this conversation is, I think, the most telling aspect of this. Is like, I was trolling yesterday on Twitter. It's like me sitting, listening to two billionaires have a casual conversation. It's like a meme of me, listening like my friends, and it's an ad. And so it's just very interesting that they would try to stop this conversation from happening. And I think it really goes to show that they obviously, one, do not want people to get that like humanized feeling coming out of Trump. They want those sound bites coming out of it. And again, like I think the fact that Elon Musk was able to identify the problem of inflation, and he was sounding like a Bitcoiner. I think that's things that we said on the show all the time, which is very interesting that he won't come out and be like, okay, Bitcoin's a solution. Obviously, that's not really his avenue or his lane here, but it is one of the defining conversations right now. Everyone is getting poor, and we're all looking for solutions. And most people think it's going to be a political solution. Like most people think that if they vote the right guy in office, then we're not going to have inflation. And us Bitcoiners are like, no, like they're all fiat. They're all, a uniparty at this point. And whoever gets in power is probably going to print more money. And none of this is going to help you. All you need to do is literally start saving in Bitcoin. And at this point, find your own sources of information, because if they don't want to have this conversation happen in the first place, I think that's the most telling aspect of this whole thing, where it's like that conversation wasn't nefarious. It was like nothing crazy was really said throughout that conversation. It was just like, okay, this is where we are. Me and Nico were texting during the spaces, and we were both just like, man, it's really a historic moment when you can sit here and just have an unprompted, unscripted conversation between a presidential candidate and, one of what people would argue, one of the most impressive entrepreneurs in the world right now. So like, I think this is the new age of the media that we're at. And this is why you're seeing that media response where they're like trying to downplay the historic moment that happened yesterday. And I saw it was like 60 million yesterday that saw the views around it was live. There's 1 million plus live viewers watching and listening throughout the whole, 2-hour speech or 2-hour conversation. So like, it really goes to show the power of social media, the power of peer-to-peer communication in the first place. But yeah, it's really interesting, the backlash and the DDoS attack on, I would say, a very, very elementary conversation. The fact that they don't want this conversation to happen, I think, speaks volumes.
Absolutely, 100%. By the way, there's 1,070 of you guys watching live between YouTube, Rumble, and X. If you guys are enjoying the show, make sure to smash that like button. Really, really helps with the algos and helps push this message forward. All right, everybody, let's get to the news. Lots to talk about today. Let's check it out. Here we go.
The Daily News.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation Devices. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US. It's fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet designed with a UX reminiscent of a simple feature phone. So you will know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes. Experience the peace of mind that comes with taking ownership of your own keys. After a massive sellout during Bitcoin Miami 2023, the Passport is back in stock at foundationdevices.com. Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, completely air-gapped security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. If you're thinking about getting your Bitcoin off exchanges, this is the one for you. Check out the Passport link in the show notes below to learn more. All right, buddy. So you can scan the QR code on your screen right now. That will take you directly to the Foundation Devices website, where you can use promo code SIMPLY and you get yourself a nice discount. Remember, guys, not your keys, not your cheese. You want to take self-custody of your Bitcoin, and I recommend using a hardware wallet to do that. And of course, check out our sponsor, Passport by Foundation Devices, completely open source Bitcoin hardware wallet. All right, everybody. So let's talk about Keiser. Keiser, again, once again, breaking the Overton window. He went on InfoWars, and he's been saying like something very similar that what David Bailey was saying in the beginning. Not to mention that everything is going to zero against Bitcoin, which is incredibly obvious. I mean, you guys know that we absolutely love this website, Priced in Bitcoin, because it just shows that what Keiser is saying is absolutely right. Everything priced in Bitcoin just keeps going down. And life gets cheaper. Let's make deflation popular again, right? What Raj was saying. Everything gets cheaper if you price your life in Bitcoin, including housing. Even with housing prices doubling or whatever, they've only doubled if you've been saving in fiat. If you've been saving in Bitcoin, no. They haven't been doubling. They've gone down 84% in the last 5 years. Can you imagine that? An 84% discount on real estate. And that's what Keiser means about everything going to zero against Bitcoin. Anyways, let's play the clip of him on InfoWars. Let's check it out.
Yeah, Bitcoin, the economy. What are you betting on? What any other key points you wish you would have added after you leave?
Well, everything goes to zero against Bitcoin. And, what do I mean by that? I mean that in terms of purchasing power. So your purchasing power of your dollar obviously is going to go down versus Bitcoin, but your purchasing power in terms of gold, property, fine art, your business, stocks, bonds, everything, the purchasing power of everything relative to Bitcoin is going to go down because it's only a $1.2 trillion asset in a world of $400 trillion worth of financial assets, financialized assets. So, and just like software ate the world during the 70s and 80s, and every company in the world became essentially a software company. Car companies are a software company, airlines are a software company. All value will become priced in Bitcoin. Everything will be priced in Bitcoin, particularly energy. I would say the next big prediction, I'll make a prediction here, is that within 24 months, all the major global energy contracts will be priced in Bitcoin, not dollars. And that will be the end of the fiat money world as we know it officially, and the beginning of the Bitcoin epoch.
What comes after
Bitcoin standard? Well, what comes after it is the demonetization of violence and the monetization of love. Not to get too freaking over the top crazy, Alex, but I really do liken it to like a Christ 2.0. It's a story about love, where if you cannot steal somebody's wealth through violence because Bitcoin is unconfiscatable, you can only approach people with the intention of fair trade, and that demonetizes violence. And the profound quality of this is what happened in El Salvador. They made Bitcoin legal tender, and within 3 months, the president put 70,000 gangsters in jail because Bitcoin makes you think differently. You don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. And this is what the world has on the other side of this fiat money collapse. If we get there, if we survive the next 24 months in the fiat money collapse, we will wake up as a global Bitcoin standard and a moment of Christ-like universal love. If we can get there, we got to get through the next 24 months. We got to get Trump in office. We have to defeat the global bankers.
I mean, holy shit. It's like Max Keiser dropping hot fire. And yeah, 100% agree. Bitcoin changes your operating system. It changes your whole perspective on the world. When you're on a deflationary mindset and things just get progressively cheaper, your perspective changes. When all of a sudden you feel the power of taking self-custody and you know for a fact that your wealth is unconfiscatable, undebasable, yeah, that gives you a lot of peace of mind. You sleep better at night. And all of a sudden, your life gets progressively better. You have more optimism. You have more hope about the future. And the vast majority of the world is still on this fiat nihilistic mindset that is because they're living on a fiat standard. So I don't know if I'm on the whole doom thing of the next 24 months. That sounded a little crazy to me. But, Max has had a tendency to, predict things in the past very accurately. So, it's probably a good idea to get some Bitcoin just in case it catches on. I mean, this guy has been telling everybody about Bitcoin since it was like $1. So maybe he sees something that we don't. One last bit before I pass it on to Raj. What he said about El Salvador was so true because it's something that we've identified on Simply, which is this idea that it's not a coincidence that the first country that made Bitcoin legal tender has the most popular president in the Americas. I don't think that's a coincidence. The reason I don't say that's a coincidence is because I know what Bitcoin has done to me since I've transitioned to a Bitcoin standard. It's my 8th year now. Holy shit, it's been a long time. And it's just like life just gets like, it just compounds. It just gets better and cheaper. And you're able to just live the life that you want to live if you don't spend your Bitcoin these days. What is it? What is the stay humble, stack sats, stay solvent, and life gets progressively cheaper over time. And I think Keiser, what he did there, it wasn't as impactful as Trump and Elon because they had a lot more reach. But think about the audience, them hearing that for the first time. right? Like the first reaction is this guy's batshit crazy, or holy cow, this guy's been telling the same thing since Bitcoin was at $1. Like, I bet you there was some Bitcoiners minted watching that that Max Keiser Alex Jones special, man, because just in those 2 minutes, like Opti, that gave me chills, bro. Like Max is operating in a different dimension, I think. Anyways, Raj, what's your perspective on all this?
Yeah, so I think, okay, I'm here. Okay, so yeah, 24 months is pretty optimistic. But if you remember the Vijay Boyapati's big blog post about the growth, like what will be the arc of growth for Bitcoin, right? We start with the store of value, then we go to medium of payments, then we go to unit of economics, right? So everything kind of priced in Bitcoin. So personally, I believe that we have already proven that it's a great store of value. I think we last cycle we had Tesla and micro strategies, using it as a treasury. Now we have the ETFs. I think hundreds. I think the Wall Street is in. Most of the funds have Bitcoin on their balance sheets now, and there are like a lot more corporations. I think just yesterday Marathon announced to $50 million of Bitcoin. So I think store of value is mostly proven. At speed, we want to focus on the medium of payment. Like, we want to solve for the medium of payment, get millions of users who are actually using Bitcoin directly or indirectly, and that's where we focus. And probably, like, once we have medium of payment going, obviously the next step would be people will start denominating everything into as in Bitcoin. Like, people will start selling and their services and products into Bitcoin, and then probably will have the contracts or energy contracts probably written in Bitcoin. I think that's how it should probably go. One more thing that I like to add is, what after Bitcoin. So yeah, Bitcoin is love, but I think post Bitcoin will have stability and peace. Like, the things will stabilize. We will have much better economic calculations of how the future will be. I think, as Seth said, once the economic calculations simplify, we will be able to undertake long-term projects which are almost impossible to do as of today, because the cost of money can go from zero ZERP to all the way like 6% and maybe down to 2% again within the span of 5 years. That's completely impossible for any business to kind of plan around, especially small medium businesses. So yeah, I mean, I think we will be out of this boom bust cycle. We'll have stability, and that would bring the era of peace, and I think a growth, or it'll be like a new renaissance.
Yeah. New Renaissance. I mean, who's coined that term? It's Renaissance 2.0. I feel like it's Renaissance 2.0.
Jeff Booth, maybe.
I 100% agree. I think the world is going to see freedom the likes of which it's never seen before. And I think a lot of the problems that people just cannot see right now, like I think the Elon and Trump thing yesterday is an example of that. Like they're like 10 years back. Like, yeah, let's get government spending under control. It's like, no. Let's fix that problem completely forever, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, Bitcoiners have that solution. Anyways, Opti, what's your take before we move on to the culture and talk about the Speed wallet?
Yeah, so first and foremost, guys, I highly recommend everyone go watch that whole clip, because Keiser just keeps dropping the bombs about where we are right now in the current financial landscape, and of course how Bitcoin fixes this. It was a great speech, and Keiser does have a way of, maybe for lack of better terms, getting a little hyperbolic. So maybe he did get a little cosmic and super bullish, but we all know that this is what's going to happen. Eventually, what Keiser said is going to happen. And what we've been seeing in the last couple of weeks is that this global hash war is playing out in real time. As we played in the beginning with the David Bailey clip, everyone is seeing something very similar, where now Bitcoin is becoming the defining conversation. And as we played with Elon Musk and Trump earlier, inflation is becoming pretty much most Americans' concern right now, is because it's getting extremely hard for everyone to just survive on a normal paycheck. And so we're seeing in real time that Bitcoin, at least in a very maybe lesser degree, it's becoming like everyone's savior right now. And like we say, you know, it's no coincidence that Bukele from El Salvador, literally translating to the savior, is doing so well, is because they obviously got on the Bitcoin standard and of course everything else that Bukele has been doing. But I think it does go to show that people are waking up to Bitcoin as the solution. We're constantly saying, and we do get a lot of flack for it because, you know, we came out and say RFK Jr. and Trump is who we are endorsing because they're being pro Bitcoin, but there is no political solution out of this. So as long as we get people talking about these conversations is how we spread this out to the mainstream audience and more people realizing that Bitcoin isn't just this, you know, internet nerd money that you speculate on and get rich on. But to one of the points that Keiser said, and I've been saying this for a while as well, and Keiser's, I think his time frame was like 18 to 24 months, which I don't know if that's necessarily the time frame, but once everyone starts pricing energy in sats or in Bitcoin, that's really when Bitcoin is going to take over the world, because it's the truest measurement of value that we have in the world without all the financial manipulation of the world. And we're seeing right now that most people that understand what's going on realize the fundamental problem, that it's the financial manipulators that are wrecking the world. And the more games they're able to get away with, the poorer we all get. And that's the solution that we're solving here. Like, you know, Raj was saying, like Bitcoin as a store of value, I think it's proven itself. And if we continue to allow the financial manipulators to manipulate the fiat currency and the traditional financial world, then there's literally no escape from this unless you're opting into Bitcoin. And that's what we constantly harp on this show is you need to save in Bitcoin, take it into self-custody. That's the only way to get out of this and protect yourself.
100%. 100%. Yeah, man. And it's really, it falls down to us, like to really get that message out there. Like, it's not just about electing a certain person. It's literally about changing the system, root and branch, like everything from the top to the bottom. And that's, you know, separation of money and state, individuals taking back their financial sovereignty via self-custodying their Bitcoin. Anyways, guys, we're going to talk about the Speed Wallet and what Raj is working on. Again, Bitcoin entrepreneurs building on Bitcoin, building on those second and third layer solutions, helping it scale. So really excited. Stay tuned. Let's get to the culture.
The Daily Culture.
All right, everybody, before we talk to Raj, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor. Of course, I'm talking about the Orange Pill app. Stack friends who stack sats join the 11,822 Bitcoiners that are on the app. Download the Bitcoin social layer, the Orange Pill app. Guys, if you're traveling, you go to a new city, perhaps you lived in your city for quite a while, you just don't know any Bitcoiners around you, the Orange Pill app is a great resource. You pull it up, and you will literally see the Bitcoiners that are near you, and you have the ability to send them a message. When you send them a message, you can connect with them. Also, it's the #1 resource for Bitcoin-only events. So if you're going to a conference and there's days that there's nothing happening, you open up the Orange Pill app, and it will literally show you the events that are happening near you and near the conference. So guys, download the Orange Pill app today. It's one of the best ways to reach me directly. If you have any questions for me, I don't really answer Twitter or emails these days. You can send me a message on Orange Pill app. And every week or so, I make sure to get back to each and every single one of you guys. So download the Orange Pill app today, scan the QR code, or check the link in the video description. Well, I'm really excited about today's show. Before I pass it on to Opti, Raj, you are with Speed Wallet. So for anyone in the audience that doesn't know what Speed Wallet is, could you give a quick 1 to 2 minute elevator pitch on what Speed Wallet is?
Yeah, I don't think I'll need more than a minute. So Speed Wallet is easiest to use Lightning Wallet. It's not self-custodial. It's we custody the Bitcoin, but it's our goal at Speed Wallet is to just make it super easy. You just register it with your email and go from there. We want to make this into a spending wallet. This is not your saving wallet. You should not save your Bitcoins on this. If you're going to spend the Bitcoin, maybe let's say $100, $500 worth of Bitcoin, you bring that over, and we just wanted to make it super easy for anybody to quickly register, load the bitcoins. You send the on-chain Bitcoin. You have immediate availability of those bitcoins on the Lightning network. You don't really have to do anything. You can just start spending on Lightning. So and let's say you have a Lightning bitcoins, you can just take them out on chain or on another Lightning wallet. Super easy. You don't have to do anything. So a complete seamless transition between on chain and Lightning, from Lightning to on chain, uh, and like the most easy to use UI. And that's what the Speed Wallet is. We just wanted to make it super easy. Yeah, I mean, that's what the Speed Wallet is. It's very simple, straightforward implementation.
What's the difference between, for example, like Wallet of Satoshi was very popular. So like, what would be the difference between Speed Wallet and like Wallet of Satoshi?
Yeah, so Wallet of Satoshi, I would say the biggest difference would be the seamless transition between the on-chain and Lightning. With Wallet of Satoshi, you will have to bring the I mean, either you buy the Bitcoin and load it up in their Lightning channel, or you bring the Lightning BTC and use them with the Wallet of Satoshi. So you have to be on the Lightning to kind of directly start using it. With the Speed app, you have a Bitcoin on chain and you want to quickly like transition to the Lightning. You use Speed Wallet. Just put your on chain Bitcoins on the in the Speed Wallet, scan it immediately. They are available for you to spend on Lightning.
Gotcha. And reading questions from the audience, like, what would be like, for example, you guys decided to add USDT. By the way, for anyone in the audience, if you live in the developing world, Bitcoiners like, it's like we want Bitcoin to be this like, used in everyday transactions, but that's not what the market is saying. And as Bitcoiners, we should be free market maxis. What the market is saying, specifically in developing countries, is that stable coins seem to be very, very popular. And that's something that can be potentially life-saving for someone who lives in Venezuela or Argentina, right? So and there's other wallets that have integrated, specifically Tether and other stable coins as well. So could you talk a little bit about that? I just want to preface that because I know we have some hardcore Bitcoin maxis in the audience.
It took me a long time to kind of get over this. I really didn't want to touch any shit coins, neither the stable coin. But then, I come from the product management background where we are told to listen to the users. And like everyone that I spoke to who were non-Bitcoiners, right? They were like, okay, I mean, we love Bitcoin, but it's too volatile. We want, if we have a significant amount, it will be great to have that in USDT. It'll be awesome if we can have Bitcoins immediately converted into the USDT and then be able to spend that USDT into on like any other crypto networks or any other crypto sites which offer, like, for example, Bitrefill will allow them to buy the gift cards, right? Be able to spend over there. So I mean, spoke with more than I would say 500 users, and probably like 12 months back, and like 99% of them were like, okay, we would, if given option for the USDT, we would like to save in USDT. I mean, I think other than like like Bitcoiners, there is this huge section of users who still do not appreciate like the Bitcoin as I mean, as a money, I would say, I think most people do appreciate it as a store of value. But when we want them to spend and kind of retain, they are like, okay, it'll be great if we could convert it into the USDT and just, maybe able to spend. And with the Taproot assets, right, that just becomes very easy, viable, native to the Lightning network. So with the Taproot assets, it's by Lightning Labs. We can actually just use regular Lightning invoices. They can be paid with a taproot asset like a stable coin or with the Bitcoin, and the receiver can decide whether they want to get that in sats or they want to get that as a taproot assets, right? So it gives a complete interoperability. Like, you can pick and choose how you want to retain the value. And we for last year, we were kind of focused on that. We were working with Lightning Labs and trying to see if we can just have that available in our wallet. So yeah, I mean, I think they just launched like a month back. They completed the implementation. It's still like the first cut, and we decided to launch USDT on Lightning Network. It's available both in Speed Wallet as well as Speed Merchant platform for businesses. So yeah, just give it a try. It's pretty straightforward. You are actually inherently still using Bitcoin. So the rails are still Bitcoin. If USDT on Lightning Network becomes popular, the Lightning network capacity for BTC, like BTC Lightning network capacity, will just skyrocket. So it is kind of complementary. I mean, it will help adoption of Lightning network. It will then after, be like a entry, like drug to getting into the Bitcoin. We'll be able to get millions of users onto the Lightning network, and I think that will open for like create. It's kind of a gate to creating more Bitcoiners eventually, and also it'll increase the network capacity in terms of Bitcoin.
Absolutely, yeah. Opti?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Raj. Again, knowing who our audience is, I'd like to kind of elaborate. We did kind of compare Wallet of Satoshi to Speed Wallet, but I'd like for you to talk about the design choice and the UX experience of going custodial and needing an email. Like, why did you choose that route versus what your competitors are doing?
Uh, So, can you please repeat that once more? Sorry.
Yeah, so
Why-
for I know you want to make the easiest wallet possible, and knowing our audience, which is hardcore maxis out here, what's the design choice of going fully custodial?
Yeah. So we were initially trying to make a self custody wallet, and there are two big challenges with the self custody on the Lightning network. I mean, it's pretty well known. Number one is channel management, liquidity management, and number two is offline receive. So, with the channel management, any self custody wallet would have to have user kind of become sophisticated enough to do the channel liquidity management, which I don't think will allow us to bring millions of user onto the Lightning network. And offline receive too. I mean, those are the two challenges. We really do not have a good solution as of today. I'm very optimistic. I think we will very soon be able to solve it, and maybe at that time we could kind of have another wallet within the Speed itself, where you could immediately take the self custody and have your own mobile Lightning node working. But with those issues unsolved, the experience of self custody wallet is not not good for like unsophisticated users. We just wanted to Our goal is to bring like millions of people onto the Lightning network, and so decided to take the least path of resistance, which is just have a custodial node. We do the complete channel management, liquidity management, make sure that we have healthy channels available across the Lightning network. 100% transaction success rate was our goal, so we achieved that at Speed. We have like 99.999% transaction success rate. So the experience is super smooth. Like, any transaction you make will just go through. So that was the goal, just make a wallet available for non-sophisticated. I think we have a lot of self-custodial wallets. We had a lot of them available. I think Mutiny just pulled out, but I think back in 2022, when we were evaluating, there were about 5 to 6 pretty good like self-custodial like wallets were already in the market. uh, and I think a wallet of Satoshi was, and I think Strike were the only ones kind of catering to the to the unsophisticated users. And one of the challenges that we found was, this transition between the on-chain to Lightning, Lightning to on-chain, which was also an issue. We wanted to solve that. We solved for that, and we put the wallet out. I mean, honestly, like, we did not really expect so much adoption to be I mean, we were like, okay, we'll just put it out, see, and if anyone wants to use it, it's just one more option available. Right now we're getting about like 100,000 to 1,500 downloads every day, and we crossed like 100,000 wallet users in like last 4 or 5 months since it's available on the app stores.
Congratulations. It's just huge. And I look, like, personally, and again, I know this is unpopular with some part of our crowd. I was a huge fan of Wallet of Satoshi, just because if I ever wanted to introduce someone to Bitcoin, and the more amount of steps that they take, the less interested they are. Like, if it's just as simple as you literally download an application and you're basically extremely, like, in a very short amount of time, you're ready to receive Bitcoin. It's a very, very powerful tool. And then you just send someone, like $1 or $10 or $100 worth of Lightning, and they just receive it instantaneously, and they just say, that's it. And you're like, that's it. That's, like, that is a good thing. Ideally, of course, like, you don't want to leave, a considerable amount of money in a Lightning wallet. It's for the coffee, it's for the day-to-day spend. So I personally am a convenience maxi. I have the capability to set up a Lightning whatever, but I just haven't done it because it's just like, that's not where I'm a couple $100 in the Lightning wallet, like, it's not gonna, like, okay, it's like losing a wallet with $100 in it, like, okay. And if they rug pull, then they ruin their reputation that they can only do that one time, right? So yeah, I personally, I'm a big fan of convenience for the smaller payments, and it just helps onboard a lot of people. Now, my question to you, Raj, is, are you concerned at all about the regulatory environment in the US? Because some of the reasons that Phoenix and Wallet of Satoshi pulled out was because of the regulatory uncertainty. How are you guys approaching that?
Yeah, so right now, the direction from, I mean, when the Samurai wallet, issue kind of came up, it kind of started all this, regulatory interference with the Lightning Network. Earlier, we were probably all flying under the radar. Nobody really bothered about what was going on the Lightning Network. But with the Bitcoin wallets kind of, coming under the view. And I think with that investigation, some of the language that came out was very obscure. I mean, it's very difficult to really ascertain if you need the money transmission license or not. And usually, like, if it's not clear, you need the money transmission license. So we are actually working on that. And for now, we had to put the know your customer requirements for North American. Otherwise, we would probably have to make the wallet unavailable for North America. And it's a trade-off. I mean, you either make the services available and comply, or just stop doing it and not comply. So I mean, we chose that, it's a spending wallet. It's not, we don't want like people to save millions of dollars on that. I mean, and honestly, like, internally, we are actually considering very, very soon we're going to put like the hard limit on how much you can custody on our wallet. Like, maybe you will not be able to have more than $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. We are actually considering that. We'll definitely put the hard limit on it. And we I mean, we chose the KYC route, and maybe just do the compliance, but have the service available make the Lightning available, keep it available within, have the option available to the users. But for the rest of the world, it's just available without any kind of KYC requirements. And anybody anywhere in the world can just download the wallet, start using it. We also have the web version available. We have the Chrome plugin available. We'll have a lot of different versions available, and we'll make it available in all possible languages. So, like, will not just remain limited to the app stores. We'll try to go as horizontal as possible and make this available in as many on as many platforms and as many different languages as possible. But yeah, for North America, I think the things are very hazy. It's not very clear. So to keep the lights on, we'll have to comply. Yeah.
Abdi? Yeah, I was just gonna. Oh wait, hold on. Sorry, I was just gonna add. Very quickly. I know there still might be some people in the chat that are gonna FUD Lightning. So rapid fire response: will Lightning scale Bitcoin?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean it works. It just works, and it works really, really well. We have small problems with self custody. I think we should be able to solve it. It's an engineering problem. But it like with this self custody, it just works. You have used Lightning on the Cash App. It works really, really well. Strike works really, really well. Wallet of Satoshi. I mean, and there are if I look at the transaction volume right now, it's just astonishing. Like, it's just mind blowing. Like, every day we are like processing about 40-50 BTC worth of payments right now, even though we are so new and so small. It should be like significant number for Wallet of Satoshi and Strike. I mean, those guys must be there is a lot of velocity on Lightning Network, incredible, and lot of, like, literally hundreds and thousands of users are actually downloading the wallet every day and joining this network. This is just going to get bigger and snowball into like much bigger, like, payment network. So I'm extremely optimistic. This is we can definitely. I mean, there will be challenges. There will be engineering, challenges. There might be regulatory challenges. But once we kind of acquire a certain level of size, I think it will become unstoppable.
Yeah, I agree. It's like you have to make Bitcoin human friendly. Like, that's the reality that Bitcoiners don't understand. But it's something that, like, the reason that the iPhone took off, right? Like, is the whole general consensus was that there's going to be a computing revolution. That was right. But what wasn't right was the whole keyboard and screen and whatever. The computer was human friendly, and now everyone has a computer, which is their smartphone, right? So you just apply that same logic to Bitcoin. How do you make Bitcoin human friendly? The reality is that self-custody is not a human friendly exercise for the vast majority of people. That's not to say that people shouldn't take self-custody, and they should definitely learn, and you should keep pushing that message forward. But like, you guys know the deal. Like, at least in my family, I'm the Uncle Jim, bro. I'm the tech support guy, right? When it comes to Bitcoin stuff. And I'm sure you guys have had very similar experiences, right? When you have like convenience, like these types of convenience onboarding apps into Lightning, it creates a really pleasant kind of user experience. And then, of course, like, it's like having, if you have more than $600 or $700 in your wallet, you're going to look at that wallet a little bit differently, right? If you have $10,000 in your wallet, like, you're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to be like, I don't need this much money in my wallet. I'm going to leave some of this whatever at home or something. So the point is that someone said in the comment, Nico, will the vast majority of people still win if they don't take self-custody? Nihilistic field. So I would say that I think that most people are just not, it's going to be a very unpopular comment, but I'm going to say it anyways. Most people are just not going to transact on chain. I think on chain is going to become prohibitively expensive in the next 10 years or so. And most people are going to be interacting with Bitcoin on second and third layer solutions. And I think it's going to be a certain group of people that are going to have the means and the technical know-how in order to operate Bitcoin on chain. Yeah, that's what I think is going to happen. And it's just a matter of the fees. Like the fees are just going to look, Bitcoin's going to go to 1 million. Like the fees are going to go up, right? If Bitcoin becomes the world reserve currency, that block space is going to become very, very sought after, right? To say the least. So yeah, I don't think scaling on the main chain is that was not a serious question. Well, I answered it anyways, bro. I don't think scaling on chain is the way. I think, you know, second layer solutions and third layer solutions are the way forward. And we haven't quite cracked the code because there has to be a balance, right? There has to be a balance. Unfortunately, we still have the fiat, the party of fiat on our side, and they have all the whole KYC and compliance, and they have the men with guns, right? That's just the reality of the situation. To me, it blows my mind that North Korea, China, and USA are all on the same list as it regards to certain Lightning wallets. Like that is not a good situation for the United States. That's an embarrassment, in my opinion. And that is a complete drop ball because all you're doing is you're forcing these companies to go overseas and innovate over there. That's all you're doing. You're not shutting it down. So yeah, I mean, it's not so much, you know, like when I see a lot of these exchanges and, you know, these applications, you know, implement KYC and then users get upset. It's like you're getting upset at the wrong people, bro. You should be getting upset at the government officials and the regulators because they're the ones that are forcing these companies and exchanges and brokers to implement these things in their products, because if they don't implement it, they will literally be locked in a box or they'll be ran out of business. So that's something to keep in mind with everybody. It's just kind of like the reality of the regulatory situation, which is why on our show, we talk a lot about the political environment here in the US. You have the current administration that has been pretty hostile towards the industry as a whole. The Operation Choke Point 2.0 denying Caitlin Long's federal banking charter, the proposed 30% tax on Bitcoin miners. And then you have two opposing candidates, RFK Jr. and Donald Trump, that have promised that they'll be pro-industry if they get into office. Like, these are the types of things where if you don't like KYC, you don't like AML, and you don't like the regulatory environment in the United States, then elections matter to you. Like, they really do. Like, there's a consequence to it. And that's something that I've seen Bitcoiners clash with. Like, they don't fully comprehend that because we've been used to operating in the shadows since really the beginning of Bitcoin's history. They haven't really paid attention to us. Now it's that we've grown in popularity and there's more adoption, you start to get into the limelight, and that's where these types of things happen. So anyways, I'm a huge fan of the Speed wallet. I definitely think it's going to do great for Lightning adoption and just more the onboarding of Bitcoin. And I do want to give a shout out to Raj for joining us on the show today. To check out the app, you go to speed.app and you can download it. It's available on the App Store, on the Google Store, and you know, the smartphone of your choice. And Raj, if you have any final parting thoughts for our audience, what would it be?
Yeah, I will say that Bitcoin layer one, take the self custody, not your Bitcoin, like not your keys, not your Bitcoin. We have lots of good options available in terms of hardware wallets. We have multi-sig wallets now. You know, I think self custody of layer one is super easy, and it is completely possible to do that even for unsophisticated users. I think BTC Sessions has done like really great job making the tutorials for all the different hardware wallets and different kind of the wallets available. I think you know, we are at a point where the hardware wallets are super easy to use. Multi-sig wallets are easy to use. Self-custody of the Bitcoins for saving should be the norm. And whether you are sophisticated or not so sophisticated users, don't leave Bitcoins on the exchange. Just take it on your hardware wallets. So there will not be lending of your Bitcoin to the and I think that does affect the price of the Bitcoin. Like when they lend out, they keep circulating the same Bitcoin to several different buyers, between several different buyers and traders. It doesn't help. So take the self custody. When it comes to the Lightning, it is for spending. It's a medium of payment. Don't bring in big amount. Don't save it on the Lightning wallets. It's for spending, and we'll be kind of focused on that, just making it super easy to spend or use Bitcoin. If you don't want, I mean, I would still say that do not like spend your Bitcoin, in which case we have like a stable coin available, which is what users want, and you can use that for the spending. There are a lot of I mean, if we grow the medium of payment network, that's going to complement the Bitcoin price and Bitcoin overall. Once it becomes a norm to kind of use the Lightning network, the next step would be unit of economics. People will start denominating their products and services into Bitcoin, and then we'll have a proper Bitcoinization. Like we will have like hundreds and thousands of business just selling the things for Bitcoin. I think we really need that mindset where everything is priced in Bitcoin, and doesn't matter whatever the US dollar or any other shit coin price is against, like fiat token price against it is. People just like care only about Bitcoin price of it, and at that point of time probably we would not even need the stable coin, and will be the first one to drop it off.
100%. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on the show, Raj. It's great what you guys are doing, spreading Bitcoin adoption, making it convenient and easy for people to onboard and stuff. So really appreciate it. Guys, you can go to speed.app to download the application today. This was your show for August 13, 2024. I'm your host, Nico. It's my co-host, Optimus Fields, and our special guest today, Raj from Speed Wallet. All right, everybody. Love you all. We'll see you tomorrow for a brand new episode of Simply Bitcoin Live.
Episode was brought to you by bitcoinwell.com, on a mission to enable independence.